Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a hot minute since I've actually sat down and talked to you guys. I did kind of a birth vlog, but it was kind of a mess. It was only like 5 minutes long because I'm still really not used to just like thinking about filming in certain moments, and my birth was super short. And today I have Maddox right here next to me. He's napping. Jackson is supposed to be napping. But I wanted to sit down today and just kind of tell you guys how my birth went. I wanted to give you guys my birth story because A, I want to have it for my own reference, and B, you didn't get to see all of it in the birth vlog, obviously. There was one minor, super small, not a big deal hiccup, and the rest of it was perfect, and like perfect. And if I could have imagined exactly how my birth would have gone, it was like this. So I wanted to sit down and I wanted to tell you guys all about it. So yeah, we had scheduled my induction we had talked about scheduling my induction, but they had officially scheduled my induction about a month before. They usually do it at around 35 weeks. So I was on the calendar to be induced on August 6th. And my doctor told me that they would call me on the 5th and give me like a roundabout time of when I would come in, and then they'd call me again on the 6th, probably in the morning, to confirm what time I should come in to be induced. At my last appointment, I was being induced on Monday, and my last appointment was the Friday before, and at that appointment I was 3 centimeters, 60% effaced. I hadn't really progressed. On the 5th, which was a Sunday, I got a call, and at my appointment, my doctor kind of said that she would feel more comfortable with postponing breaking my water for about 4 hours, because the main problem with Jackson, again, was the strep B antibiotics. I didn't get enough of them. And so my doctor wanted to give me 2 doses of antibiotics before she even broke my water, so that he wasn't getting exposed to it whatsoever. And there's supposed to be 4 hours in between doses. So she said I'd come in, I'd get 1 dose, and then 4 hours later she'd break my water, give me my 2nd dose, and that's when things would start getting going. So on the 5th, I got a call. The nurse said that there were 3 people being induced that day, and I was 3rd on the list, and so I probably wouldn't get a call until around 12:30 to come in. And I was so pissed. I was so mad because like nothing was really going to happen with me for 4 whole hours, and I was like, just bring me in. I'm the most like low maintenance person that you're gonna need. Get me the penicillin, get me my epidural, I'm gonna be fine. Like, that's all you need to do with me. And so I was really ticked that they weren't bringing me in first. So we went to bed that night and I slept really well. I also took Benadryl because it's A, safe for pregnancy, and B, I just knew that I would be really anxious. But I woke up around 6, and I just kind of looked at my phone just in case they realized it was stupid to bring me in later, and they did. They called me at 6:30 and they said, how fast can you be here? And I said, it'll take me like half an hour, like with dropping Jackson off and getting ready and blah blah blah. And she said, can you be here at 7:30? And I was like, yes I can. So I ran out, I woke up my mom, I made Jack's breakfast, we packed up everything, and we were at the door at like 7:15. We dropped Jackson off. And dropping him off, I'm really glad Kelly was there because I wasn't super emotional, but I would have been if I thought about it too much. So we drove to the hospital, and I met my nurse, who was super, super sweet, and at around 8:30 she put my IV in, she gave me my penicillin, and she started me on Pitocin. And she said that she was going to do a low dose of Pitocin just to kind of get things going, to progress me as much as it could. But she said that nothing would really happen until she broke my water, and that wasn't going to happen until around 12:30, because then I'd have my 2nd dose of penicillin and we could get things going. And so that happened, and around 10 o'clock, Kelly left to do a bunch of stuff. He was picking stuff up, and while he was gone, I started having pretty intense contractions. The thing was going pretty high, and they didn't hurt, but I could feel the pressure. And my doctor came in, or my nurse came in and was like, whoa, you're having contractions every 2 minutes. I didn't really see that coming. She decided to slow it down, but she said if you want to get an epidural, I would do that now. And so I said, okay, well, when Kelly gets back, I'll get the epidural. So she told the anesthesiologist that in about 20 minutes I'd want my epidural. Kelly got back. The anesthesiologist was in there right away, like almost as soon as, because I told my nurse, oh, Kelly's back, can I have the epidural? And he came in and he was amazing. He let me lay down. I just had to scrunch my body up. He told me exactly what was happening. So if I felt weird things, he like told me beforehand I would feel that, which was good because I'm always kind of paranoid when I get the epidural. And it was great. About half an hour later, I started feeling really like nauseous. And so I'm allergic to Zofran, which is normally the thing they give you for nausea. But my doctor had prescribed Reglan, which is a different nausea drug. And so my nurse gave it to me, blah, blah, blah. And about 3 minutes later, I felt super lightheaded. And I was leaning forward like this. And people kept asking me what was wrong. And I couldn't even talk. And I just said, I feel like I'm going to pass out. And I was laying like this. And next thing I knew, this hand that was up here was next to me. And my nurse was shaking me saying, Lauren, like, wake up. And apparently I totally passed out. And so the anesthesiologist came in, she called him, and they turned off my epidural just like in case that was it. We didn't really think it was because people didn't, she said that she's never really heard of that, and I didn't have anything like that with Jackson. And so she brought him in, he turned off the epidural just to see if that did anything. And he came back like 10 minutes later and said that he actually remembered hearing about people who were allergic to Reglan passing out. And so turns out I'm allergic to 2 nausea medication, so I'm just supposed to be nauseous. So they let it like pass through my system. I just laid there for 20 minutes just like dead. Like I didn't want to talk. Like I remember laying there and thinking, I don't have the energy to push. I'm not going to be able to do this. And like the idea of pushing scared the crap out of me because I was so out of it. I just felt like high. I was so loopy and it was awful. So eventually the Reglan wore off and I was back to normal. I was sitting up, and at this point, it was around 12. So not much happened. They turned my epidural back on. That was great. I was still having contractions every 2 minutes. They were getting more intense. The nurse checked me right before they broke my water, and I think I was at a 4. Doctor came down. They gave me penicillin. They broke my water. And as soon as she did that, they put me laying on my side with a peanut ball in between my legs to try and progress me as fast as they could. She said that would tend to work. And I sat up and I was at a 5. So I didn't progress very much. It was like a little over 2 o'clock, maybe. I think I was there for maybe an hour and a half. So it was like 2:30. And my nurse decided to put me in a different position. It was called like the queen position. And so I was sitting up right. She lowered the lower half of my bed so that my legs were straight down and I was sitting up, just sitting upright. And she said that helps a lot with progressing and dilating and stuff. And so we finished doing that at, I'm really trying to remember exactly. Oh, I remember this specifically. It was done at 2:45. She had set me up, everything was done at 2:45, and she said she would come back in half an hour to check me. And so she came back in at 3:15 or 3:20 or something, and she checked me and she's like, hopefully, you know, you're complete. And she like lays me back, she checks me and she's like, you are. And I like almost cried. She's like, are you feeling anything? And I was like, I'm really not. Like I really was expecting her to say I was at like a 7, but no, I was at a 10. I was completely ready to go. And so she called my doctor, and my doctor was like, well, if she's not like in any rush, I'm just gonna I have an OB patient that's waiting for me. I'm just gonna see her because the offices are right above the delivery room or the delivery floor. And so she saw her patient. She came back down at, I don't know, 3:35, 3:45 or something. I don't know. And she set everything up. I had a mirror, which sounds gross, but probably the best decision I ever made. So she set me up and she told me to push on a contraction, and I did. They do like 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. They do like 3 10-second pushes during a contraction. So I did that, and Kelly came and told me that he had brown hair, which I could not believe, but I was so excited. And then they remembered that I wanted a mirror. I wasn't gonna say anything because they were talking like he was right there, and so I was like, I don't want to waste time getting the mirror. Like if I can get him out beforehand, then I'll just do that. But Kelly was like, no, she wants the mirror, let's move it. So they were like, oh right. And so they quickly moved the mirror, and then right after it was all set up properly, another contraction came, and I did the 3 again for 10 seconds. And then we waited for the next contraction, and I leaned forward and I pushed, and I was looking in the mirror this time, which was so helpful, and I was pushing and I could see everything, and I knew his head was about to come out, and I did the 10 seconds and my doctor said, but don't stop, and so I kept pushing and I could see him coming right out of me, and it was so cool, and he was out. So it took like 3 contractions, like what, 7 pushes total, and he was out, and they put him on my chest and he was crying and he was breathing perfectly, and I'm all emotional because I just kept saying, are you okay? Are you okay? And hugging him and kissing him, and he kept putting his hand on my face, and he was so little. But it was so awesome, and they cut the cord and everything was great, and literally, like, my small minor hiccup was passing out, but it was nothing. It took like half an hour to get over that, and other than that, everything was perfect. They did something called the sacred hour, where they lay him on your chest and they don't weigh him, they don't do anything, you try breastfeeding, you hold him completely by yourself, and for an entire hour, and it was amazing to be able to do that. And then they weighed him, he was 7'8", he was 19.5 inches, and he was perfect. And then like 30 minutes later, we went upstairs to the recovery rooms, and they took him for a test, they did everything, and he passed everything. Everything was perfect. Just being able to spend time with him in the hospital room was amazing. Like, I kept saying to Kelly, you know, when this was Jackson, he was in the room with us, and it was awful. And so I'm so glad, and I'm so grateful for the experience that I had this time, and I'm grateful to all of you for all of your support constantly and saying nice things on my Instagram. I posted a bunch of things like this on my Instagram, and you guys have been so supportive and so understanding when I suck at tape or videoing and crap like that. But he's here and he's perfect, and I'm so grateful, and I'm going to try and do other videos. He sleeps a lot, so it's not crazy different having 2. It's just a lot of like trying to get Jackson to stop doing things he shouldn't do while I have a baby on my boob. So that's hard. But other than that, it's not too bad. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for all of your support, and we'll see you in the next video. You can say bye to Maddox.